Hello everyone, and welcome back to World of Warships Blitz with Terry. It's Battleship or Battle Cruiser week, really, because today we'll be having a look at HMS Vanguard. And hope that'll be it for this week, because I can't just be reviewing premiums all the time. Wargaming pumps them out quicker than I can actually catch up with these things. Anyway, the Vanguard, British Tier 8 battleship, because, I mean, if there was one thing that we didn't have enough of, is premium Tier 8 battleships. The original Vanguard was actually completed after the Second World War. But the idea behind was that the British were, running a bit scared early on, because both the Germans and the Japanese were building some seriously big ships. And the only thing that the British had in the production queue were the Lions. But they really had to wait a little bit still. So they decided, hey, what if we take some stuff we've got laying around and make like an intermediate ship of sorts? Because one of the big problems they had was the very large 406mm guns that they didn't have enough manufacturing capacity for. So what they looked somewhere in a storage room in a warehouse and found that they still had a couple of 380s lying around from the First World War, which were slated for some old battle cruisers, but never really got built. So they said, okay, let's take one of these hulls and stick a bunch of these 380s on it, and then at least we've got some form of battleship laying around, and we can strengthen our fleet a little bit against the menace of the Germans and the Japanese with their seriously big things. But it was kind of an on-off thing, and they changed the design a bit, and then it was too long, and it didn't fit in the shipyard anymore, and they had all manner of interesting problems and changes that they made. They were trying to incorporate a lot of the experiences. They had to make the bow a little bit higher, so she was actually more seaworthy and didn't take on so much water, and all kinds of things that made it really a little bit difficult. So by the time they're actually finished with it, the whole reason for building it in the first place, which was the menace of the German and Japanese battleships, was gone on account of the war being over. So bollocks. What is a respectable monarchy to do with a seriously big battleship that was finished by the time that all her enemies had given up? Well, they turned her into a royal ferry boat to ship the kings and queens around in the countryside and let them survey the empire or whatever was left of it. So HMS Vanguard had the privilege after the war to be outfitted with a luxury cabin and sail the royals around. It had the additional benefit that it was an extremely heavily armed ferry. So, it could be worse things. Anyway, in the game, HMS Vanguard, Tier 8 battleship. What have we got? She's I'm almost tempted to say it's another battle cruiser because the armor protection is a bit meh, and that is somewhat historically accurate because they had to make some cut downs on the armor protection in order to get the speed and the length and everything to work. The speed is very good, and one thing really stood out when I was looking first. She had a base turn time of 9.6 seconds. Now, let me just very quickly change the filtering here, and let's see if we can find something else that has a base turn rate of about 9.6 seconds. I think it was somewhere around about here-ish. Yeah. The Vanguard, the Tier 8 battleship, has a better stock turn rate than the Tier 9 light cruiser. Really? So, do we have another Julio Cesar on our hands? Well, not quite. Because, she is extremely maneuverable for a battleship. But the guns are, the 380mm Mark 1s that were scavenged from some warehouse. If we look a bit back, the tier 7 battleship, the Hood, actually has more modern turrets on these 380s. We find these guns again on the Warspite. Well, of course not with the same range and damage potential. So if we compare the Vanguard and the Warspite, the Vanguard has slightly improved high HE shells and a bit better range, and the faster reload, but that's about it. And they did modernize these turrets somewhat in order to, not have their battle cruisers exploding, which was a thing that happened at some point. So, but basically you get more or less you get the Warspite's guns slightly improved in tier 8, which is a bit of an issue. These guns are okay-ish, but they're not great. They do reload reasonably quickly, and they turn reasonably quickly as well. But this is not an extremely hard-hitting ship. The Secondaries are actually decent. She gets 8 twins, so 8 secondary guns on each side, 130 mils. But they're not super quick firing. The range is kind of okay. They are there, but she doesn't get any auto secondaries or anything. She is a bit lacking in terms of firepower. The AA is okay. Is pretty standard for pretty decent for tier 8. We can't really complain about it. And again, the Hood kind of stood out there with the small caliber AA. She does have better AA than the Hood, but the Hood actually gets the defensive AA skill, whereas the Vanguard does not. Because if we're looking at the ship skills, the Vanguard gets precise aiming, and it gets a sonar. So we have a hydro battleship. We have an extremely maneuverable, quick hydro battleship with somewhat questionable guns and a decent anti-air. So to me, that's a battlecruiser. I'm sorry if I'm stepping on everybody's toes, but in terms of how she plays, this is a battlecruiser. Fast ship, maneuverable, can unleash some damage, and yeah, that's what that is. So what do we get for the elite bonus? We could improve the torpedo damage reduction. Why on earth would I want to improve the torpedo damage reduction on something that comes in with an under 10-second base turn time? I literally will not be hit by torpedoes very much in this kind of ship. So elite gun operator it is, which makes sense. Because we get a better reload and we get a better turret traverse, and she already has a good turret traverse to begin with. So funnily enough, she has a better turret traverse than the Siegfried, the cruiser in tier 9 on the German side. Okay, jokes aside, what can we slot in here in equipment? We can do all the things we wished we could have done in the Siegfried, but couldn't. Like the secondary. Oh no, that's not on the auto secondaries. Never mind. Yeah, we put the precision mod in here because long range ship, don't want to get too close, want to be maneuverable, mobile, use my maneuverability as defense over my armor, and run and gun in this ship. So precision at range is something I'd like to have. Other than that, propulsion, I've got it in because, again, the role I'm seeing her in. Otherwise, I would have gone with the deck protection mod probably, given that her base fire and flooding resistance of 15% isn't great. So, but I did decide to go with propulsion mod and steering in second because, hey, double down on something that's already good, which gets us to, if I'm actually not messed that up, which gets us to an 8.3 second turn time on a battleship. Exactly. Yeah. That's what I was thinking as well. Okay, commander skills. What commander skills do we put in here? I've repurposed one of my captains. That's why he's up on level 10. Otherwise, I put him level 8 in here. But standard set in the beginning, in this first 4 tiers, don't even need to look. Survivalist, because we have enough precise aiming skills. We get recon and surveillance for making the hydro more effective. Marksman for that. I've actually gone with extinguisher because I skimped on the fire prevention module and on the the base fire flooding resistance isn't all that great to begin with. Otherwise, the Adrenaline Rush might have been okay, but she's got a pretty quick reload to begin with, so that's all good. Demo Expert, because close quarters doesn't really make sense on this ship. Could have done compartment maintenance, but again, with an under 9-second turn time, I'm probably not going to be torpedoed very much, except by aircraft. So I mixed it up, taken the Honor Seeker instead, but you know, you can always this is always a solid choice. And then obviously Armor Piercing Cap Shell would be a good one, and then either Citadel or Horizontal Protection, which I would probably go with Horizontal Protection, but yeah, haven't really tried anything on that tier quite yet. All right, let's take her out into battle. Alright, here we are on the Atlantic. Not one of my favorite maps when I'm in a battleship. We're top tier, and 2 destroyers on the enemy team, 1 Kagero and 1 Aka, and a smattering of other battleships. A lot of Brits around here these days, but we've got an Enterprise with us. And yeah, let's see what we're getting up to. The problem I have with the Atlantic map in battleships is that there are so many conveniently placed islands that a destroyer can just island hop without ever being spotted, which means on this map you really gotta watch your flanks. So the Vanguard comes with HE preloaded. The HE shells are not as murderous as the ones on the Nelson. Don't confuse that. They are good, but they're not that good. So I'm just gonna follow that Xian Yang. We're pretty much guaranteed to run into one of the destroyers, but since we don't have a cruiser on this flank, I'm just going to, you know, follow that destroyer, do some AA cover if necessary, and well, I've got a hydro. You know, I'm somewhat confident that I can spot torpedoes when they're coming. But yeah, you see these islands, right? If you're not being careful, and there are destroyers on the enemy map, they're just literally going to come around the flank and hit you in the rear and do all manner of unpleasant things to you. Okay, I'm spotted, and it's not the planes, so there's got to be a destroyer somewhere here. Let's slow down a little. There's the Aka. Hello, Aka. Okay, I've completely forgotten that this thing has the precise aiming skill. It would have been helpful at this point. This way, yeah, the Aka's probably got torpedoes away. So let's just, you know, slow down and pop the hydro, which should spot them in due time. Because he was conspicuously turning there. And now he's behind the island. Okay, there he is again. And again, it would have been a really good idea to use the precise aiming right here, but I absolutely forgot at this point. Still getting some good hits in. Took out one of his torp tubes, which means he's only got, I think Aka gets 3, doesn't he? I'm not sure, actually. I haven't played this thing in ages. But he seems to be running away now, which, okay. There's some parting shots, so make sure you stay out. Stay out, you. It's my islands. Stay away from there. Okay. What do we got? Battleships to shoot at. There's a King George. Okay. So I just want to empty the HE at this thing and then switch over to the armor piercing because he's giving me a nice flat broadside from there and he's stationary. So AP it is. And well, plot twist. The Aka didn't run away. Oh, bugger. Okay. Panic. Slammer in reverse. And of course, now I've got the AP loaded just when that damn thing comes around the corner. Okay, you have some AP. I switch back to the explosive, and well, let's dodge some torps. And you see, this is what you can do with a battleship that has an 8-second turn time. I love this. Okay, the carrier's dropping me. I'm not doing a huge amount to his planes, but. Yeah, I'm shooting a couple of them down. There we go, 3 and 4. Okay. Aka's still alive, so I get some more shots out at that thing. Carrier's dropping him. Is he going to survive that? Just in case he doesn't. No, he's dead. Okay, sweet. Let's back to the armor piercing. Okay, that was the first kill actually in this game so far. And we're down to almost to just under 4 minutes. So now we're flank. Because by the looks of it, the enemy team is kind of turtling around there. So let's get some good angles in and draw some of these battleships away and use our speed. And our maneuverability. Now you'll be like, oh, you're giving a hell of a lot of broadside there. Yes, I am, but I am an extremely maneuverable battleship. So, and these people don't know how to aim, so it's all good. You can almost do the the thing you do in a Soviet light cruiser, where you're just wiggling and wobbling and driving in some certainties. And look at this. Shots go wide, shots go near. You do take some damage, but yeah, just drive in serpentines, go around, and
Capture the enemy
you know,
base.
you'll be doing a good thing. Okay, I go around that island. Is anyone still shooting at me?
Defend
Nope,
our
doesn't look
base.
like. I think our destroyer is chasing their carrier away because reasons. I don't even know where their cruiser is. Anyway, I've got a Monarch and a King George to deal with. So, given that we don't have the greatest guns at this range, I'll probably want to switch over to the high explosive again, because at max range they're really not doing much here. So let's just empty out the barrels on that King George V. You go. And switch over to the high explosive. You'll be changing ammunition types in this thing a lot, because at range, yeah, you see that's just the bounce and one pen. At this range, and again, I completely forgot that I have the precise aiming skill. At this range, you don't usually do the greatest amount of damage. So at least the high explosive has a chance of setting some fires. And well, do the occasional full pen, but so far I've not been blessed with fires in this ship. So he's getting closer, so I'll get ready to switch back to the armor piercing again. Because by the looks of it, he's looking at me funny. Maybe some fires now? Nope, no fires. I mean, we get good high explosive penetration, so the HE guns are good. But, let's say the HE shells are good. But, yeah, at this range I'm gonna switch back to armor piercing. And yeah, this thing hurts because, again, not very well armored. But you know, even with the relatively poor armor piercing performance at this range, I can kill that thing. And it appears we have ruffle stomped the enemy team a little bit. But even if we hadn't, I would be now in a position to threaten pretty much anything they had on this flank here. And I've still got 30,000 hit points. Plus, well, at this point I'm just going to shoot at the Monarch and see what we can do from that. Yeah, so the Vanguard. Is she a great addition to the British line? I mean, of course, you know, she's a famous ship and she's nice, but the guns I'm struggling a bit with. And not the greatest guns. Yeah, they can do a reasonable amount of damage, but you do have to know how to use your shells, and you only get 8 of them. They reload reasonably fast, but you could say in a German tier 8 battleship, in a Bismarck, you would get 8 guns as well. Yes, but first of all, they're German 380s, not British ones, and the Bismarck has a whole flurry of secondaries to make life miserable for anything that gets in range. The Vanguard doesn't have that. What the Vanguard has is an amazing maneuverability. So if you like battle cruisers and you like ships where you can get aggressive with and get into positions quickly and outmaneuver pretty much anybody in any other battleship, then that's the boat for you. Only the Julio Cesare in tier 5 has a comparable maneuverability to this thing. So, and yeah, if you think nah meh, then well, you don't have to spend the money for it. There are plenty of extremely good tier 8 battleships out there. So yeah, that's that. And by the way, just in case I forgot to mention that, I've played her with the historical camo because that's literally how she comes out of the bundle that you can buy. So you can't buy the ship without the historical camo, which is why I played her with it. Anyway, that's it for today. Thanks everybody, and I'll see you next time. Bye.